Welcome to Brick by Brick. My good friend Pete Foldis, author of Fulfilled AF, one of my favorite speakers of all time, joining us. So Pete, this podcast is all about building businesses, one interaction, one relationship, one connection at a time. And that's the whole theme of Brick by Brick. And I know you're somebody who has built businesses and you've had highs and lows. Right now you're out on your book tour going across the country with your family in the RV,
That's
promoting
true.
the book. We had an amazing class on axiology this morning at our company meeting, which was amazing to have you be a part of. We had some
fun,
beautiful breakthroughs, and people were really moved, and just an amazing exercise. So thanks for coming and leading us through that.
What a pleasure.
Tell us, because people that watch this are business owners who want to grow their business and they're trying to scale and they're trying to go through all the pain points, or maybe they're making it through a difficult season. Tell us about your most difficult season. Specifically, are you able to tell the free play story?
We can.
Is that too?
I don't know if we have time for the whole story, but we can certainly touch on how you can get yourself into positions that test and challenge you, and how you can overcome those.
One of my favorite stories of all time.
Yeah. Well, one of the stories we can laugh at now because it's in the past, but at the time it was definitely not so funny.
No. What was the hardest moment you had building Pluton Life?
You know, it's interesting. Building Pluton. Pluton's maybe a fifth or sixth business I've tried to start. And I say try to start because some of the businesses I've had, like most entrepreneurs, have fizzled or failed. As a massage therapist, my practice was based off of as much work as I want to put in, right? You have an independent practice. You can work and make as much money as your ceiling of time and how much of that time you want to spend to get money. So as far as building Pluton, I think the biggest challenge is needing people in a way that something like massage therapy as an independent therapist doesn't really come into play. In order to really expand and scale and to potentially even exit one day, it requires not just people, but great people.
One of the things that entrepreneurs struggle with is the amount of time that goes into the business versus the amount of time if you have, like, say, a family, or if you have a marriage, or both. Talk to me about the laws that you talk about in the book in terms of when you're spending time in one area, it's not really like destroyed or lost time, it's a transferred time.
Yeah.
I think that was, when I heard you speak a couple times ago, that was one of the big light bulbs that went off for me was, this doesn't have to be like a sacrifice, this could be an exchange.
Yeah, love it. So what you're referring to is the law of conservation. Nothing's ever lost or gained. It only changes form. So even when we talk about money, I lost money in the stock market. You might have lost money in the stock market. It also changed form into money for somebody else, of course, at that expense, at that exchange. Additionally, where is it that you have that stored value, right? So when you talk about time, a lot of the exchange that people say is I have to sacrifice the time with my family to earn the money to be able to buy back your life to live the life you want to live.
Right.
And that cycle keeps it in a struggle. So the question about, what can you do, it's really focuses on values. That's what we're doing this summer with our trip. Being able to take family time, travel time, and work time and put them all together to be able to create an amazing RV trip, learn, teach, experience, and give a opportunity to our family, our young kids, 6 and 8 years old, to see the world in a way they never have before.
Mm-hmm. Talk about this concept of neurofinancial alignment.
Yeah, thanks for asking the question. So neurofinancial alignment is something that through years of searching, truth-seeking, I synthesized as a framework to help people create a connection between their mind, body, and mission from a financial perspective as well. So connecting health, relationships, and finances as the wealth triangle to really create a foundation and clarity for why you even do what it is you do. Right? The last thing that I think anybody wants is to end up at the end of their life and look back, regardless of having all the money in the world, and not have lived the life or had the time with the people they love the most, the things that are most important. Right?
Yeah. It's huge. I think the exercise we did this morning was a study of axiology, which is a study of, is it values or value creation? What is
values and worth. Yeah.
Values
so
and worth,
axios is the meaning of worth or value, and then the study of it.
Yeah. And
how we assign wealth and value and how we also interpret it and assess it.
yeah, and there was an amazing 13-question survey that you built that you walked us through. And the questions really helped you flesh out what overlaps were created through that exercise. You go, okay, like in multiple of these I marked family, and that kind of gives you a guide as to what your highest values are. And we've been talking about strategic no's. So like, if your highest priorities are faith, family, and your business, well then if, a old work colleague calls you to go out for a drink and you don't really want to go but you feel kind of guilty, it's much easier just to say, no, you know what, that doesn't align with what I'm trying to prioritize my time in, right? And that wasn't very insightful and enlightening for people. Talk to me about, being intentional about a good no.
Yeah, I think a good no is also understanding where your best yeses are, right? If you know where your best yeses are through understanding your values, then you get to rely on those as the checkpoint of if they align with what it is you're trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, those no's are so important to freeing you from the time, from the guilt, because ultimately, if you have a relationship with somebody that you actually really get along with,
Yeah.
you would hope for a little bit of mutual respect and understanding, like, oh, and now you can link.
Yeah.
What can you do with that person? That also involves the family or work or faith. If you have some overlap there, then now you can create an opportunity to do
That's
both
amazing.
things.
Yeah, so linking is the process of saying, I have multiple things that I care about. How do I bring them together?
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's powerful. That's leverage.
Yeah, it's the best leverage point, and you have to,
Yeah.
it comes from knowing yourself. Know
What
thyself.
do you call that? Like value linking?
Yeah.
Is that actually what it's called?
Linking your values.
Wow.
That's how you can elevate something that you want to be demonstrated more. Because remember,
Yeah.
values aren't what you say they are. They're what you demonstrate in your life. What we see is evidence from consistent, persistent action.
Yeah.
So if you say you want something, but your life's not demonstrating it, linking's the way to elevate it from something you don't do as much as you want and be able to do it more. A great example would be, how do you fit exercise in with taking care of the kids? Let's get the kids to exercise with us.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. Some people call that like habit stacking.
Yeah.
Similar.
Those are the only difference in habit stacking versus value linking would simply be habits can get away from authenticity. So from a standpoint of values, if you're operating at your highest values, that's your most authentic self. And sometimes our habits are built from external forces, the shoulds of the world, the people around us telling us what we need to do or ought to do.
Interesting.
Just a matter of not good or bad, but evaluating and knowing what the root of it's from.
Yeah, so tell me about the vision of Pluton Life and like what people are going to be able to ultimately walk through one day, like to share your vision.
Sure, and what they're walking through now.
Yeah,
really
what
ultimately.
we're walking through today.
Yeah, so Pluton is the Greek god of wealth, agriculture, and abundance, and the name ultimately is a representation of how we want to serve other people and do so by emulating and embodying that in our lives first. The best way to be able to teach and share is to be able to do it through example, for our kids and then for our people we work with and the people that get to observe us from the outside. So from a standpoint of that vision, really back to health, relationships, and finances, being able to have a place where we can workshop these things on a consistent basis for people. Look at finances, and here we are helping people every day with finances, and so many advisors talk about the 3 Ds. Divorce, disability, and death, right? And we know that those things have huge impacts on finances, but the thing that people don't really talk about when it comes to relationships is the drift, that 4th D, the drift in a relationship that doesn't lead to divorce, but leads to a separation and of values, of direction, clarity, and purpose. And when that happens in a relationship, some of those relationships are even more detrimental than one that ends up in a divorce because they stay together at the expense of their authenticity, of their own love, of loving themselves, which limits all of the financial potential that they have inside them.
Man, that's crazy. What would you encourage somebody to do that's in a season like that right now where they don't feel like they're in alignment? How would they, could they just read the book and get aligned?
I think it would be a great place to start. The 4 steps to living the life and knowing what it is to have the life you thought money was supposed to buy.
Yeah.
Someone that right now feels like they're living in the drift, I think the first most important thing is to be reflective. Anything you see in somebody else, you can only see good or bad because it's in you too.
Yeah.
So wherever that finger's pointing, consider the contribution, and then be able to really understand who you are, what it is you value, not because you say so, but because of how you behave.
Yeah.
And those are the things that can repair relationships and get people back to center, back to love. And true love is the understanding that we have those differences and we love each other anyway.
Right. No, that's huge. And there's not a lot of books that I'll read and then I'll want to go to the physical book because I'll transfer the book to more of like a workbook. Like at some point I'll make the transition and go, oh, I'm going to come back to this and this is something I'm going to want to use again in certain circumstances. I'm going to be able to find these things that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So I'll transition it from like, oh, I'm just reading this to like, now I'm going to work through this. And the thing that got me working on the book was the finding your telos. So we tell people what that is and share that.
Sure.
That was really important for me when I read the book.
I appreciate that. And telos is, Greek is, my background's Greek, so that's where a lot of these history comes from, thousands of years old, right? I created neurofinancial alignment. That's what I titled it. It's a synthesis of thousands of years of human history, really, an understanding of what it is we know about people and how we've grown and come to be. So from a standpoint, I forgot your question specifically.
Oh, just telling about telos.
Oh, telos. So telos is your end goal, your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so we create all these little mini goals on the way, and that's part of the path. But if you don't have clarity around why you're doing it, after your time, beyond your time, right, then it becomes real difficult to live meaningfully while we're here.
So talk to me tactically about the person who's like, yeah, all that sounds great, but I'm working 100 hours a week just trying to keep my business going. I'm for my family. Everybody needs my attention. What do you tell that person?
Yeah. We have to go back to the values conversation. What are your highest values? What's most important? And when we talk about the things that are not desired and the things that are desired, if you seek to avoid something, you're going to attract that. You're going to attract the thing we seek to avoid. Right? So overall, understanding what it is that you're trying to accomplish is much more powerful than trying to seek to avoid something else. Right? So that'd be one thing.
Gotcha.
The other thing is now if you know your values, it sounds like that person probably needs to look at what they're doing that's draining their energy. Values gives us a great indication of what's energizing you. It gives you energy, gives you vitality in life, and the things that take away from you. The things that take away from you are the opportunity to now assess and say, those are the things I need to delegate. Now, there's a point in that where an entrepreneur says, well, I need to delegate that in order to unlock and unleash and free myself, but I can't afford to pay that person yet. So now we have a little gap. And so now this goes back to value creation. The more value you can create for others, the more ultimately money comes back to you. It's the only way that humans have created a way to tangibly exchange. All right, we used to barter, now we exchange money. So if you don't let someone pay you for your services, what you're worth, you don't increase your prices. If you're so scarce with your time because you're spending it all trying to make more volume of sales rather than more money per sale, those are all things you can start to look at as efficiencies and way you can curate and design a business and a life that match up.
Makes perfect sense. I love it,
I
brother.
hope
Okay, so I'm trying to think what else we want to cover today.
I got a couple questions for you. Is that okay?
Let's go for it.
So I'd love to know, in all the things that we did today,
Yeah.
what would you take back as the operator of the business? What will you take back tomorrow or the next day or in the future in terms of leading your team through your values and through their values?
Well, I definitely would want them to bring that workbook to our next one-on-one, and I'd like to know their top values. To me, that's essential information I can't believe I didn't even think about knowing until now. So that's one. And then with mine, I would think about, okay, well, if these are mine, how does that show up in relation to theirs, and how do I use theirs to transform mine into a way to just elevate theirs, right, to serve theirs.
To delegate into
Right.
their highest values.
Right.
What would that unlock for you in your business if you could have the people here
everybody
operating
would
in
be
their highest?
doing the meaningful work that they love doing at the highest level. That's what every business wants.
And what's the gap from today to implementation?
The time until our next one-on-one.
Okay. So that's pretty easy obstacle to overcome, is just carving out the time in the near future.
Yeah, it's already on the schedule for next week. It's
There you
Friday
go.
afternoon. We'll roll in Monday and we'll get to work.
And so, brick by brick, building a business, how do you, as an operator, take a day out to then spend
See, here's the
10
caveat to
people
brick by brick.
for
Brick-
one-on-ones?
Brick by brick's a journey for me because I'm a second generation entrepreneur.
Sure.
Technically third generation, but like I'm not building a business brick by brick. I bought a fortress and I'm adding bricks to
Sure, but
to it. So
in taking what you got as a
Yeah,
fortress
yeah.
and expanding it or even fulfilling your vision,
yeah,
right? There's steps to it.
absolutely. Now the vision becomes, okay, not only how do we fortify and grow and protect the fortress, but then make it so that it is a generational family fortress to serve the community forever. That's the next level of the vision. So it's like, Dad built it. How could I take it and then magnify it forever?
Love it.
That's where I come in.
Of course.
We're a 1-2 punch. I'm the number 2.
The 2 is the killer.
Yes, the knockout.
So I would love to hear from you from the time, what I know of you as personally and professionally. What do you believe, how would you describe or define wealth in your life?
To me, we define wealth as having the means and ability to serve where God calls you to serve. So what that means is if God's like, hey, I need you to show up and, go do this thing, right? The ability to be obedient and to not say, oh, well, yeah, I would, but I have a job interview, so I can't. Or, oh, I would, but I got to go run this appointment, so I can't. I got to make money, right? Like same thing as the value alignment, right? Or the higher alignment, like prioritizing other values ahead of, like in our faith, we believe that you won't love anything above your God. Well, every time you love money above your God, you make it an idol. That's prioritizing it above your God. That's putting something in front of it. And so, it's in today's world, it's very easy and tempting to do that. You do it with a lot of things. Like our phone is a constant opportunity to get into different areas we don't want to be that aren't in alignment with our values. And so, you have that issue of that happening.
And through the history that you've had personally, professionally, what has your wealth bought you?
Time. To me, wealth is all about time. So, but again, I'm a unique situation. It's very blessed to meet the love of my life, my early 20s, 21. Found what I want to do for a living at 22. Very blessed. Had 2 beautiful children. Feel totally fulfilled and happy as a father there. Fulfilled AF. And I'm very close to the Lord and my faith. And so for me, it's like, those are my areas I want to spend my time in. Having money just affords me opportunities to go deeper in those areas. And like we were talking about at lunch, right? Like what is, like we had that conversation of like playing that game of like, what happens if someone wrote you a check for, 100 million tomorrow? What happens? And I'm like, we further the gospel, right? Because the whole point of building generational wealth is so that our kids can have the ability to further and amplify their ability to spread the good news versus how do I make a living and spread the good news? Having that, constant tug of war, it really makes it a challenge. So if we can liberate them from that piece of it, let them just go out and start sharing and continue to build. Like if that became a profit center for the kingdom, that's what we want.
Okay. Awesome.
So that's the long-term vision, and that's the goal, and that's what money buys is time, and that's what wealth is to me, is more time to go spend more time doing that.
Okay. A couple things I'd love to circle on.
Sure.
The next question that I'll ask before I do is, what has your wealth cost you?
Health.
Tell me more.
Physical and mental and emotional health. Physical in the sense of just like grinding myself into the ground, making myself sick, staying up all night. Done that for years, many times. And then mental and emotional. there's obviously when it's unintentional and overlapping and infringing on family time, that's when there's guilt. And then also just like mental, like you're gonna lose relationships. I've had many people in my life ask me, like have issues with me due to the fact that I will zone in. So I'll kind of get very focused on my work and I will zone out everywhere else. And then people are like, hey, what's up? There's that. So there's those kinds of side effects.
So that was time.
Yeah.
And that's.
Yeah. Health and time.
It's interesting to see the buying of it and the costing of it.
But here's the thing. I believe that none of it's mine anyway. So I don't, for me, it's not that hard or difficult. Like one of the concepts that we talk about in this book in chapter 1, right off the bat, is abundance, right? This abundant mindset idea, and how retirement is like a very difficult challenge to an abundant mindset, because it's literally like backwards. If you think about it, you're like, hey, here's your money, now spend it and don't run out. Good luck.
And there's never trained for that ever before.
Never trained for that. And there's going to be all these issues along the way. Oh, and be abundant and spend money like you've never spent before, and maximize experience. Right. So very difficult prospect for most people. And we talk about this concept of abundance. And the way I arrive at abundance is by just recognizing that, like, I'm just here on this earth for a short time to steward these opportunities, this time and this money. It's all an economy and a kingdom of God's, and I'm here to do the best job I can with it, to multiply it, and not only to multiply it, but do it in a way that I believe helps further the good news in the kingdom. And so if we can do that, we're fulfilled AF. We have everything we want.
Yeah.
We're serving where we're called to be served. To me, that's fulfillment, and we're doing what God wants us to do rather than our will, right? Like, I'm not trying to grow nations first, so for nations first to be the kingdom. I'm trying to grow nations first to, elevate the kingdom that we want to be a part of. So that's kind of my whole thing on wealth.
Yeah, well, one of the things that you talked about was all the blessings that you had and all the unique opportunities you had to have your father build something and meet the love of your life and have all these things happen. I'd love to just take a moment to point out, though, you also just said something else about stewardship. You could have all those things in your life, but what's the difference between the people that have those things and don't create and serve? And so it's more than just blessings. I'd like to give you credit for the stewardship and the understanding and the vision, because without it, none of those things follow through. Again, back to preparation. If you weren't prepared for those moments when you met your wife, to be able to humble yourself and say, there's more here, I should go deeper.
See, that's all like chicken and egg conversation,
of course.
Because then I go back to, how do I arrive at these circumstances without being blessed to be put in those places, right? So it's like it's tough for me to.
But you have to have the awareness. You have to have the
and I think
thought process.
There's some ownership there too, right? Because
stewardship.
There's stewardship, right? Like, you have a choice, and that's where I think we have had this conversation multiple times. Where I think there's going to be Christians that read your book that struggle with it because it is so focused on the laws of the universe. Right? And there's some of those secular concepts that sometimes I feel like as Christians we struggle with. But to me, the whole thing is answered in, like, if God gives you domain and stewardship and autonomy, like, then it's your responsibility to learn those laws, to use them for the good of the mission. That's how I look at it. So why is it bad? Like, if God created it anyway, why are you so against it?
I agree. And beyond Christian, there will be many fractions of different religions.
I'm just speaking of the one I know.
Of course.
There could be
but they'll have all that opposing force towards universal laws.
Yeah, universal laws, yeah.
And my perception is that's like a personal take, like that universal law was made up, right? Like,
oh, is that what you think the issue is?
Well, like, they don't see it as like a godly thing. If it's a universal law, then isolates from God.
I think that they see it as like that would be an idol. Like, you're elevating universal law above the powers of God. But see, to me, the answer is like
God created
the universal law. So what's the big deal?
Bingo, I agree.
Like, okay, so let's just wipe that one off the table, right? It's like we're splitting hairs at this point. I think, to me, that is. But it's a serious point. I've gotten to a lot of heated. In fact, I learned about universal law really before I started reading scripture. So to me, when I started talking about some of my Christian friends, I'm like, oh, the abundant mindset. They're like, what are you talking about? That's not. And I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? You know? And so, because the more I read the gospel and I read the life of Jesus, like, he had some very abundant concepts. Like, I mean, one of my favorite stories is the loaves and the fish, right? The feeding of the 5,000. That accounting is written in all four gospels. And that's a very abundant gesture. I mean, they had plenty of food and baskets left over. That's a cool story about abundance. And so, to me, it just seemed like it all connected, but I guess not everybody feels that way.
It's a challenge at times, but I think also, a lot of those polarized, those strong feelings come from fear, and they're centered in the unknown. And so, with a little bit of grace and a lot of love, just be able to meet the person where they are. And
grace and love sounds like Christian concepts to me. I don't know what else there is to do. One of my favorite books I read in the last year, for sure. I've been encouraging everybody to read it. What's next for you doing the book tour? How do people find your content? Where can they have see you, like hire you to speak?
Well, you mentioned the companion workbook and the opportunity to do the work. So if you actually go to school.com/be-wealthy, WELLTHY, then you can actually go through the companion workbook, which includes video modules from me, and walk you through a little bit of what I did today with Daniel and his team.
That's awesome.
Otherwise, outside of that, you can DM me on Insta or any of the socials and connect.
Cool. I'm so glad we could do this, man. Thanks for coming out. And
appreciate you having me.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy.